One thing is absolutely certain. Snow White is going to flop, and it's going to flop hard. This could be one of the biggest box office disasters of the year, maybe even the biggest, considering how much money Disney has poured into it. But before we get into that, here's the latest update. Reports suggest that tickets for Snow White, starring Rachel Zegler and Andrew Burnap, will go on sale next week. The real question is, will fans rush to buy them, crashing websites in the process? Not a chance. There will be plenty of tickets available right up until release day, because audience interest is almost non-existent. A final trailer is also rumored to be dropping soon, possibly during the Super Bowl. But if the past trailers are any indication, it's not going to go well. The first teaser trailer from August racked up 1.5 million dislikes, and the official trailer from December wasn't any better. With 1.1 million dislikes, people aren't watching Snow White because they're excited. They're watching just to make fun of it. At this point, the film has become a joke, and Rachel Zegler is a big reason for that. She's alienated so many fans that even parody videos mocking the film are racking up millions of views, outperforming the actual trailers. That alone speaks volumes. And now we have early box office projections. According to The Hollywood, handle Snow White is tracking to open with numbers that aren't looking promising. This movie is heading toward a major flop. What do you think? Will Snow White crash and burn, or is there still hope for a turnaround? Let us know in the comments and subscribe for more updates. The early box office projections for Snow White are looking rough. The film is expected to make between 63 to 70 million starter in its domestic opening weekend, but let's be real, even that seems like a stretch. And considering the movie reportedly has a budget of over 250 million, possibly even higher, these numbers spell disaster for Disney. Even if Snow White somehow manages to hit that $70 million mark, it's still a bad start. Even Screen Rant is calling it out, highlighting how Rachel Zegler's Snow White is continuing the downward trend for Disney's live-action remakes. Audiences are just tired of these remakes. Look at The Little Mermaid. That film barely scraped past 500 million worldwide, despite its massive budget. And the reason these remakes keep flopping is simple. Disney isn't staying true to the originals. If you're going to remake a classic, do it right, Fans want a faithful adaptation, not a complete rewrite. Instead, Disney is turning Snow White into some kind of girl boss fantasy. No prince, no love story, no classic elements, just a forced modern take that no one asked for. If you're making Snow White, then make Snow White. Stop changing the essence of what made the story beloved in the first place. That's exactly why this movie is set to bomb at the box office. It represents everything fans don't want from a Snow White remake. The essence of Snow White is in its classic storytelling. Songs like Someday My Prince Will Come define its timeless appeal. But instead of honoring that legacy, Disney has completely transformed it into something unrecognizable, and audiences are not on board. At this point, it's clear that live-action Disney remakes are struggling, and fans are tired of them. Every attempt to modernize these classics ends up alienating the very audience that loved them in the first place. People aren't rejecting new stories, they're rejecting forced, agenda-driven changes to beloved classics. Reports suggest Snow White is tracking for an opening between 63 to 70 million. But even that seems overly optimistic. Disney sunk over $250 million into this project, and some reports even suggest the budget exceeded $269 million by the end of 2023, not even accounting for the reshoots in 2024. For a movie of this scale, an opening in the 60 million range is a disaster. Comparisons to Maleficent, which opened to $69.4 million back in 2014, are misleading. Ticket prices today are significantly higher. Hence, if anything, Snow White should be performing far better than a decade-old film, but it's not even reaching that level. That's a huge red flag. Let's compare it to The Little Mermaid. That film opened to 95 million domestically. A just solid start, but it still struggled financially due to its $300 million total investment. production plus marketing, with theaters taking a more 50% cut of box office earnings. The Little Mermaid needed at least $600 million just to break even. And it fell short. That means Disney lost money, despite a decent opening. Now, Snow White isn't even expected to match The Little Mermaid's opening numbers. This is embarrassing, especially considering that Snow White is the film that built Disney's animation empire. If even Black Ariel, a film that generated controversy, could pull in stronger numbers, what does that say about Snow White's prospects? A Ponder, faithful live-action adaptation, could have been a billion-dollar film if Disney had stuck to the original story. Instead, they tried to push a girl boss narrative, sideline the prince, and let Rachel Zegler openly mock the original. That turned off audiences. Before the movie even hit theaters. At this point, Snow White isn't just set to flop. It's on track to be one of Disney's biggest disasters. Disney's Snow White is shaping up to be an absolute disaster at the box office. With reshoots, production delays, and marketing costs, this movie's budget is easily over $300 million, possibly even closer to $400 million. That means it would need to cross $800 million globally, just to break even, which seems almost impossible at this point. Now, early projections are all over the place. Some sources say it could open between 63 to 70 million on theater, but many analysts think that's way too high. Others are putting it at 40 to 50 million on coast, with some going as low as 37 million. If Snow White lands anywhere in this range, it's going to be one of Disney's biggest live-action flops. The marketing campaign is in full swing. Billboards in LA, multiple trailers, and even a potential Super Bowl spotter, which will cost millions more. But who's actually excited for this movie? The hype just isn't there, and most of the buzz around Snow White is negative. One major issue? The casting. The evil queen, played by Gal Gadot, is supposed to be jealous of Snow White's beauty, but next to Rachel Zegler, that dynamic just doesn't work. It's a total mismatch. And then there's Rachel Zegler herself. Her constant criticism of the original film, dismissing the love story, and mocking the character have completely turned off fans. If she had just stayed quiet, this movie might have had a chance. Instead, audiences see it as another forced girl boss reboot that nobody asked for. At this point, Disney probably knows this movie is a lost cause. The chances of Snow White breaking even are slim to none. If it flops, which seems inevitable, it could be a wake-up call for Disney to stop these live-action remakes and focus on new, original content instead of butchering beloved classics. Tickets go on sale next week, so we'll see how many people are rushing to buy them. Spoiler, probably not many. What do you think? Is Snow White doomed before it even hits theaters? Let me know in the comments.